Um, so, you got stuff to talk about? Hey, welcome to episode 134 of Front Seat Gamer. I'm Nick. I'm here with Sav
Yo.
and Blake.
Hey.
How's it going, guys?
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's going well.
Yeah.
That's good. That's great.
Hmm.
You guys been playing anything this week?
Actually, not. Actually, no.
Okay.
No, not much. But we left the last episode. You were hinting about what you
I'd been playing a lot of stuff, but all of it the same. So
you mean it's the same game, but it's all
the same game.
Technically,
it's all
different games.
Yeah. Well, Severn, have you been playing anything?
Yeah, man, but it's not important. Let's hear
Great.
what...
Well,
Yeah.
I'll talk about what let's jump into what I was going to talk
Yeah.
about last week, and then we can go over some of the other stuff because BlizzCon was announced this week.
Mhm.
It was like a Nintendo Direct. There's been a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah, there was a Sony thing I saw yesterday, but
Oh.
I watched half of it and I was like, I'm not interested in any of these games.
Right,
So I just
okay.
stopped watching it.
So over Christmas, what did I play? A lot of idle games. I'm sure you're all very surprised by this. And I think I mentioned last week that I think idle game and incremental game mechanics are going to be the future of it's going to have a similar trajectory as RPG mechanics in
Yeah.
that they're just going to start appearing in all sorts of games. And I think we're already kind of starting to see that. But let's talk about some of the games I played.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll start with one of the more basic kind of meh ones. I played a game called Idle Brick Breaker, which is interesting only in that it's a good illustration of how to provide visual feedback for your idle game. So I'm going to show you guys. Basically, it looks like a brick breaker.
Okay. It does look like a brick
And
breaker.
when the screen gets
Yeah.
cleared, it just opens up a new screen.
It's just playing itself.
It's just
You're not
playing
even
itself.
doing anything.
That's right. But you buy
Is that a screensaver?
all idle games are functionally screensavers, Blake. You buy new balls, you enhance the balls, you enhance the values of the bricks and whatnot. So it's just the way for. Okay, let me rewind a little bit. Have either of you ever played an incremental game much?
Let me think. I don't. I think I've tried and then just gotten bored.
Okay, do you remember anything about it?
No, actually, I don't think I have.
Okay,
I don't think I have.
okay. So you tried it in your head.
Yeah,
and got
I don't.
bored
I actually don't think
of-
I
of
ever
the
have.
concept.
Like the closest to any idle game I've gone was one that was like some auto run dungeon thing where all you're doing is moving. You're not even moving your character. It's just auto running through a dungeon, and you're just choosing when to use a couple special abilities.
Yeah,
But it
okay.
also just auto attacks.
Yep.
So that's probably the closest.
Yep.
And I ran through 2 dungeons and was like, this is boring.
Okay, cool. So Vern, have you played any of these incremental games?
I think so.
Do you remember any of them?
No.
Okay. I'm gonna make you both play an incremental game this week. I think.
Oh boy.
I'll choose one.
Homework.
I'll choose one at the end of this podcast for you guys to play.
Do I have to write an essay?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Why?
and- Why?
Yeah.
Because I think it'll be interesting to hear your takes on it, and I think it'll be interesting. I suspect you'll both find yourself more addicted and more drawn into it than you expect.
I think you're hoping.
And I think, and we'll talk about some of the mechanics about.
You're putting too much of your feelings on it.
No, well, there's a reason they're popular, and
I have played some, so and I continue not to play any.
Yeah.
but could you?
Yeah, I feel the
you
same.
Can't.
What is it?
Okay,
Is
but here's the thing:
Adventure-
like you just said, you're not sure you have.
Is Adventure Capitalist one?
Yes, that's a very basic.
Is
one.
it? I thought that was more active.
No,
It actually has gameplay.
Yeah, I thought it had
it
real
barely has.
gameplay.
That's like one of the
You-
least.
I remember you
active.
played one called like Empire years ago.
Is that one?
Is that-
is Empire one?
Let me.
It's like a
Does stuff happen while you're offline, and then you tap some stuff, and
Yeah,
and you
everything,
buy some stuff?
Timers, right? Timers exist.
Yeah. Empire's definitely
Yeah. So I've played plenty of these
okay.
horrible games.
You got really into Empire, if I recall.
Yeah, for a good few months.
I rest my case.
I do. I continue not to play them.
Yeah, but
What are you talking about?
These
Yeah, but
I want you to play it again because you'll be addicted again.
No. I don't want you to play Empire. I want you to play like one of these idle games that has begun to implement other game mechanics. A lot of idle games and a lot of incremental games are just numbers going up. Empire is a good example. Adventure Capitalist is like the perfect example, where it is numbers going up. You click a thing, the numbers go up a little bit faster. You click a thing, and then it starts to go up exponentially. And then you can prestige, and the whole cycle starts to speed up a little bit.
Right.
And you repeat that. That's sort of the most basic shell formula of an incremental game. But some of these games that I've been playing recently use that shell, but tie it into other gameplay mechanics. So Idle Brick Breaker is an example, mostly in that there's like brick breaker elements, there's balls, and all the prestiging, all of the like slight upgrades of speed and value and whatnot just take the form of the balls doing more things and better things. But it's mostly just a visual change. Whereas if you look at, I'm going to show you.
Can I counter with something just on the initial recommendation premise?
Sure.
Because I suspect you're into them because of convenience, mainly.
No,
because a cell phone is very easy to open up and play these things.
I mean it's.
I'm
That's
sure you
not
have said you've had it running on your desk at work, and you just every once in a while look.
I've come over to his desk and seen him
Yeah, I've done that.
having numbers scroll up.
Uh-huh.
So it's with you all the time as well. So again, very convenient.
Sure.
To have these things. When's the last time you played like a good game, and not a Switch game, like a PC game? I guess it would be Mountain Blade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you played anything since?
No. I mean, Path of Exile, obviously.
I will say Mountain Blade could do with some of these.
I'm gonna go out here and say that's really elitist. First of all, Switch has some fantastic games. Hades is on Switch.
Oh, Hades
Not
is on
only
everything,
on
though.
Switch.
Okay, so I played it on Switch. Does that matter?
Yeah, that's a cool game.
Okay, great.
But there's a convenience element that I'm trying to harp on, which mobile offers.
Okay. Is it a problem?
No, it's convenient.
Okay.
Yeah.
My point is that the reason that incremental games are sticky are some of the same reasons that RPG elements are sticky. But they've done with these have found for successful incremental games have taken RPG elements, layered them, and hidden some of those mechanics behind other mechanics in ways that means that you are constantly discovering new things and constantly gaining progress. And these are the exact same elements that find their ways into other genres. Take, for example, Call of Duty. There's leveling up, right?
Yeah, I understand there's been RPG mechanics in
Sure.
Call of Duty and other shooters for a long time.
Let me ask
now.
you, what happens when you hit max level in Call of Duty?
I don't know.
You prestige.
What does that do?
It resets the counter, gives you a little badge.
That's right. That is an incremental game element.
It's not. Number isn't going up when you're away, though.
No, but I would suspect. Well, okay, but that's an important distinction to make. I don't think all games will become idle games. What I'm saying was a lot of games will start to implement incremental game elements. And I want to make this distinction. An idle game will play itself while you're gone. An incremental game may or may not, but regardless, it will have cycles of progress and the capacity to reset and to speed that progress up at a cost. And a lot of the gameplay comes from making judgment calls about when you've started to plateau.
Okay.
So I think we will see a lot more of these elements in other games. But I also think
Which one's progression or the number ticking up in the background?
I actually think both. I think we'll see the progression one most, but I also think we'll see idle game elements.
Do you consider? Sorry for cutting you off. But do you consider a constant number going up as a perceived zero in some cases?
What do you mean?
If you say your numbers only go up, the minimum it can go up is 50 points per minute.
Okay, sure.
And it could never go slower. You'll never reduce points. Is that perceived as nothing? Like baseline?
No.
No?
No, because when you return to the game,
Mhm.
usually you'll have something to do.
Okay.
Whereas if there was literally no number ticking up,
Mm.
there would be nothing to be tracked, so that when you return to the game, there'd be something to do.
Mm.
Now, another way of masking this is a cooldown, right? If there was something to do once a day, then there's still a number ticking in the background.
The Brick Breaker game, does the things you purchase go up as well? For example, you purchase a power up ball. Does the price of that same thing go up as you purchase it?
I don't know. I don't tend to pay for much in these games, but I do
Well,
know
you
that
said
some
there was like an inventory type thing. There's a shop element.
there are shop elements in a lot of these games. A lot of these games will have like you pay $5 and everything is doubled basically.
Real currency.
Yeah,
Oof.
but I mean they're
Free games.
yeah they're free games that they're selling. That you are very much buying power when you're paying for these sorts of things. What you're actually doing is you're buying an acceleration of the rate at which you progress through these games. Now, friend of the podcast, Jake, he confided in me that he should not play idle games because he always buys way too much. So there is an audience for these.
Interesting.
For these power ups.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have bought things for idle games mostly when they remove ads, because a lot of the games have ads as sort of their monetization, where it's like watch an ad and you get double boost for 2 hours or whatever it is, and for $5 or whatever, I'll never have to watch an ad again.
Mm-hmm.
That seems reasonable, and it's usually when I've played the game for like a week or so, and I'm like, yeah, this is quite enjoyable. So,
Okay.
my argument is we will see both incremental elements of like constant progress, the capacity to prestige that progress, to speed it up again, and layers and layers and layers of these mechanics hidden behind each other. And we'll also see idle elements. And I think we'll let's use why don't we use like Cyberpunk as an example? What if you could in Cyberpunk buy a business, and then that business earns money while you're gone.
Yeah. I get it.
And then let's say you use that money to buy a new business.
Yeah.
And now you've doubled the rate of income. Now let's say you get a whole bunch of businesses, and you can then sell them to buy a skyscraper.
Yeah. But the thing is, you also need some sort of money dump.
Yeah, the money dump is other things to buy that accelerate the money. No, and I know it doesn't make sense, right? But that is how these operate.
Yeah, okay.
There's always another thing to buy, even if the thing
Yeah.
that you're buying is just speeding up the rate at which you can buy other things.
Okay. Like yeah, I can see stuff like that in games like maybe Cyberpunk or GTA or something like that.
Yeah.
There are those things in games.
Yeah.
Like Desert being an example.
I think even GTA has it.
Go on.
Well, I now they had it in GTA 3 at least.
Yeah.
It wasn't
go ahead.
technically an idle thing, but like you'd earn passive income from buying properties.
Mhm.
I
I think I know the one you're talking about, and it caps at certain amounts, so it can charge up to I don't know $1,000, and then you have to go and collect it, and then it would
Possible.
go back up to $1,000 again.
been a really long time, but yeah, I can see something like that happening in GTA, for example, where you can collect it when you log in.
Yeah, it's not new. We talked about this after last week's episode too, and I thought, yeah, for like retention, I'm sure developers would want to try whatever thing the hooks to get you in.
Yes.
Mainly just spending more time, or like to get you back in.
Yes. Creating a pattern, but also to create an endless treadmill. So let's use Path of Exile as an example. This is a game we all know fairly well. What if when you hit above level 80, when you hit maps or whatever, you could destroy your character, and the next character you create has a 10% boost on all its attributes.
Yeah. You're not talking to like a guy who.
No, but if you
I mean,
love Path of Exile,
that sounds interesting, but like, I'm not gonna for Path of Exile because it's so complicated
Mm.
in the end game. I'm not going to be like, that's a great idea. We should absolutely do that because I'm sure.
No, yeah,
there'd
this
be-
is an
you know, it's-
extremely simplified version.
Yeah.
But the idea is then, okay, now your next
I-
character's guaranteed to be a little
I
more
get what
powerful
I
at
get
the
what you're
base level.
saying. Yeah.
And then if once you hit level 80 again and you destroy that character,
Yeah.
it's 20%.
I have yeah.
Feels
Well,
OP. to me.
Yeah, I feel like PoE
Yes.
is not a good
This is it's
example
okay.
for that.
Fair point. Bad example. But you can see where there's an easy way to create an endless treadmill
Yeah.
for players who really love a pattern of gameplay
Mm.
and love chasing power.
What you're saying is break the game balance.
Yeah.
No, but you balance the game around this.
Of course,
now
of
now
course.
let's
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that on these characters that are now let's say that when you restart one of these characters, there's actually a whole other atlas tier that you didn't even know existed before, and it's only accessible on a
I mean,
prestige character.
like just the idea of sacrificing your character to unlock stuff is interesting to
Right.
me.
Yep.
You know, like
Mhm.
you get to, I don't know, level 80 or 90 or whatever, and then it's like you have the option to just sacrifice this guy, but your next character has access to a bunch of
Yes,
other stuff. Like
Yep.
that would be kind of interesting to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
this is extremely common in idle
Yeah.
and
Oh.
incremental games. So, for example, I'm playing a game called Idle Slayer,
Mm-hmm.
which is a sort of an infinite runner idle game, and it has a fairly expansive tech tree, and you can at some point you earn a few different kinds of currency, and one of the currencies allows you to expand get attributes on this tech tree, and one of the techs lets you hire dudes,
Mm-hmm.
and the hired dudes will get you more of that currency. So then you can start sort of farming that currency out, and the more jobs they go on, the better they get getting this currency.
Mm.
But then you can you can reset those guys for another kind of currency,
Hmm.
and then once there's a point at which you can reset everything, tech tree, minions, that
Wow.
currency, everything, and unlock more parts of that passive tree.
It's interesting. Okay. Yeah.
So
That does sound interesting.
right,
Yeah.
and now there's no end point really.
Mm.
The end point is when you get bored.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole point of this is like by creating these layers of progression and masking some of them behind others, and having this cost of sacrificing things.
Mm-hmm.
It does two things. First of all, you don't get overwhelmed by the mechanics. Actually, it does a bunch of different things. Another thing it does is it provides sort of endless goals. There's always something new to reach for. And because you have to reset, you get to see yourself going faster through things you've already done. So you get a feedback element of like, this took me like 3 days last time, and I did it in 2 hours. So I think we're gonna see so much more of this in like mainstream games.
Well, like it is true that they have these kind of things have been popping up
yes, in bits and pieces.
in mainstream games. Like I remember years ago in one of the World of Warcraft expansions, they had these followers that you could recruit and send them on missions, and they would disappear and go on a mission, but it's really just a bar filling up for them to come back and then have loot for you. And that happened while you were offline as well, because it's an online game, so it's always just running. And there was even I totally remember a friend of mine had an actual app for it where he would just assign on his phone where he would just assign his followers to do different missions. That was a full-on idle game.
Yeah.
Like
what
a
that
full-on mobile idle game inside World of Warcraft.
Yeah. So what that was missing was like the layers.
Yeah,
and the,
that
and
was
the sacrifice
ultra
element.
simple. That was just send those guys out. And like people had said that Assassin's Creed, I think, had done that at some point because people were comparing it to Assassin's Creed, being like, "Oh, it's just like some mission thing in one of the Assassin's Creed games."
So if you could at some point say, "Okay, I'm gonna use all my hirelings to upgrade my Citadel," and it's gonna reset all their levels, and it's gonna reset all of the upgrades I've made to the Citadel, but I'm gonna be able to double the number of hirelings. And you could do that again and again and again, and then maybe at each tier you unlock some other special feature for your character. Then you're starting to look more and more like one of these sort of mobile incremental games.
Like I would really like more stuff like that. We were talking about Mountain Blade just mentioned
Yes,
it
I was actually
before.
thinking about Mountain Blade.
Because there's so much potential in buying. Like you buy a workshop, getting the gold to buy a workshop. Your first workshop is pretty tough, and then like it just passively makes money for you, and then eventually it's easier to buy another one, and then another one. Then you've got caravans going, and like that's great, but it sort of like just tops out
Yeah.
at like basically buying caravans and just buying more caravans.
Yeah.
Like I would love some other system within that for you to like upgrade your shop and do
Yes.
this and do that.
The
and-
workshops are either you own them or you don't.
Yeah, and you
either
can't.
they have the supplies or they don't.
Yeah, there's no interaction with them other than I guess like the supply, but like like depending on where you build it, the supply will always be there.
That's right.
Unless you have to actually go and get the supply yourself.
Yeah.
Which sometimes is a good money making thing.
Yeah, it's fairly simplistic.
Yeah, it's super simple, but like if they had upgrades in there, that would be great. Like the castle stuff is also that is more of a money sink. It passively loses you money.
Yeah.
But they have upgrades and stuff that happen over time. You know, like there is stuff in there, but it's just not at the level that when you first see it, you're like, oh my god, this is so deep. Where it's actually like, no, it's just that.
I mean, what that might look like, for example, is let's say you instead of when you capture a castle, you get a bunch of villages. What if you could only individually capture villages?
Yeah.
And once a village was at a certain population or a certain level of wealth, it could be turned into a castle.
Yeah.
And
like I would love the villages to grow
Yeah.
into cities.
Yeah,
but
and then you can
there's
upgrade
no
the
way to
castle
do
into
that.
the city.
Yeah. Villages are basically just money sinks. Like they don't. They
Blake,
really
you need
don't
to get better at that game.
Are you seriously? Because I've never made money owning a castle. Because you own a castle means you own a couple of villages.
Yeah.
Those villages just lose you money.
They can earn you a lot of money if you keep treating them well. The key also
And
is
how do
to
you treat them well?
keep them from being raided.
Oh well, there's a
Yeah.
look, man. This is the frontier land. Like they
There's
got to
your
expect
answer,
to
though.
be raided.
Oh, these villages that are constantly on fire are really costing me a lot of money.
Yeah. Why do they hate me so much? But that's also another point. Now we're just complaining about Mountain Blade, but that's another point. Is that like, okay, you've got these villages, and you want to interact with them to like be like, hey, I'm your new lord. Like I'm here. Got any questions or whatever? Come and talk to me. Got any quests? Blah blah blah. And the only way to build up like reputation is to do quests for them.
Yeah.
But then it's just like you're just waiting for a quest to maybe possibly come up in the village.
Yeah.
Like you can't just actively go in there and be like, hey, I'm your boss now. What do you need? Like there's just nothing. You just have to wait for the game to decide that a quest has popped up there.
Yes.
Which I don't like because I want to take a more active like role in like building these villages up.
Yeah.
But it's
I
just
see
a
what
roll
you're
of the
saying.
dice.
Yeah, I think it kind of works on a timer. But beside the point, once you have a bunch of villages, you'll be glad that it's not just constantly quests because you kind of want to patrol the area.
Yeah.
And roam your lands. And
I know.
Secure.
I know.
What does this breaker game? What's in game look like? What is what is?
Well,
is
for
there an in-game?
most idle games, the end game is basically non-existent.
Maps. You run maps.
No. Typically, it is a case of you keep upgrading until you get bored.
But the configurations, they just keep cycling out.
Yeah, as in like you just keep getting different boards. Yeah. But I mean that's also a fairly simplistic one. There's this one, for example, which is called I think Tower. I think in my phone it's just called Tower Ball. I don't think that's the actual
This
name.
is another game.
It doesn't even it doesn't even have its own title
Tower?
screen.
Okay.
But basically, it's an idle tower defense game. I'll show you sort of vaguely what
My
it looks
goodness.
like.
Tower defense is already pretty idle.
But this is one where it's a tower defense game that uses physics and gravity. The balls fall from above, and it's
Right.
like kind of more like pachinko, but the pachinko needles can shoot things.
Okay.
And at each different board, it's like 10 boards total, and each board the balls that are falling have more health. And every time you kill a ball on a board, it goes to the next board. So,
Do you think this is like the modern day slot machine?
no.
No.
Well, in a slot machine, there's a risk of loss.
I'm calling it a modern day slot machine because kids are on that. There's this gambling random element to it.
No, because there's no random. There's no loss, right?
And you lose the time.
The thing you can't really. I mean, I guess. I forgot that all these other video games earn you time.
There are usually like skills in video games, though. There are like what would happen in Mountain Blade? There's like management, right?
Yeah.
There's like a kind of faux management.
Yeah.
This was sort of why these don't appeal. I guess Empire was cool because there was a level of management.
Pretty much every single idle game is going to have a level of management. It is about
The inventory, yeah. Oh, sorry, the shop. Did you call it there's like a shop element?
I mean, yeah, there's upgrades, but it's about what you upgrade, when you upgrade it, when you prestige. It is about figuring out mathematically what is going to be the most efficient path. So it's about in a lot of ways it's kind of a lesson in income generation.
Does it?
And investment.
Can you compare your game to other? Is there a high score? I guess.
Some games do have a high score.
Yeah. Okay. Does it track how long people have been playing it for?
Some
I wonder
might.
if you
I don't
could
know.
track like trajectory.
Because
that would be interesting.
There are games that will track your fastest cycle,
Mhm.
for example, where it's like it takes you 3 days to get to this point where you prestige, and then the next time it's 2.5 days, and the next time it's 2 days, and it'll be like their fastest cycle is 15 minutes. There was a game I played. I forget the name of it, but it had a whole bunch of layers of tech. And the first sort of time you do it is probably a few days. And by the time I sort of stopped playing, I think that few-day cycle took me like 20 seconds. And so, and there were achievements for how quick you would do it. And so you'd earn more and more achievements and like tougher and tougher. And it would sort of guide you to this like 20-second cycle. And there were certain combinations of techs or whatever, like perks that would allow you to do this. And so it was about learning how these things multiply together and accelerate this process. So, look, if you're looking for a game that's going to test your reflexes, you're not going to look at an idle
Rocket
game.
League. Shit, you heard it
Right,
here. Rocket
sure.
League. You play Rocket League now.
But there are still skills being tested and lessons being taught. But it's about really the power of numbers and the power of exponentiality.
Yeah, that's cool. If you like to see like progress bars and stuff, that's cool. I think people like that.
You play GTA Online. Why do you play that?
I get to hang out with a mate.
Okay.
And we get to catch up. He lives in Wellington.
Do you just load in and then just stand there?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
No, we're doing shenanigans too.
Now I remember when they opened up a casino, you were jealous because I think your friend spun a wheel and won a bunch of stuff.
No,
No,
that doesn't sound right.
Okay.
But he did. There are hackers and stuff.
Right.
And yeah, like very early on, these guys just had billions in their account.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was disconnected just before that.
Oh.
And that's what I was a little bummed out about.
Yeah, I remember you saying that you came back online and your mates were like,
they were just shopping.
"Oh my god, this dude just showed up and gave us $1 billion each or something."
Yeah, both of them. It was Chris and Andrew, and it was rough. Because I came back in and I was like, "Let's do some missions," and they were like, "We're shopping, dude."
Man, but does that like ruin the game for them?
For them, they felt great in that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like how long did they keep playing after that?
In terms of like escape.
Yeah.
Man, that was great for them.
Oh wow. Okay. Because there's totally games where you think that, oh man, it'll be great to have $1 billion, and then you do, and you're just like, there's no reason to kind of play anymore.
Yeah, there's
The
like
Sims.
a there's like a what is it, relative type thing going on. So like these guys are rich, and then I was some broke ass GTA guy. So I always kind of gave them that perspective of you could be broke and driving around on a shitty ass car.
Yeah.
So I think that
Man.
They felt very good.
Wow.
Now, did you earn a bunch of money while you're playing with them?
Yeah, not a huge.
Did they not give you any money?
You can't do that.
Oh wait, so did the hacker just straight up
Yeah, I don't
hack
know how.
their stuff or
I
something?
don't know how.
Like,
it happened.
how was that?
But everyone in the instance just like had billions.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was rough,
Man.
but it was cool. Yeah, That was like the last time our high school kind of like came together
Oh, that's cool.
and was just like playing stuff before we ended up being adults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's cool.
You've not played Red Dead Online much, right?
I have, and this is the game I've been playing recently.
Oh,
yeah.
nice. Perfect segue.
Yeah. Oh shit. Did you have some more to?
No, I want to hear about Red Dead
Yeah, I wonder
It's-
if there's
because
like
I'm
any.
certain
yeah.
certain there are elements in
So
here.
you can buy a horse, right?
Okay.
And then you can loan it to this one guy.
Mhm.
No.
Can you
And then
really?
No.
Because that sounds great.
You can start a horse rental business.
Yeah, and there's this progress bar.
He goes
No.
off and does missions for you, and then
Outside of it being just gorgeous and like the best thing on a video card, shit. We've been doing like bounties, so killing people. And
you're
it's
like real players, or
no. They've got like a bounty board.
Oh,
They-
okay.
They've got like different,
Yeah.
I guess, what would you like job classes or whatever that you could
Okay,
do.
yeah,
You can be like a treasure hunter.
oh, cool.
Bounty person is
Mhm.
another
Bounty
is another
hunter.
occupation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so me and a mate are doing that because it's pretty straightforward.
Mm.
You're asked to go search for a guy in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're wanted alive. It's usually
Mm.
dead or alive.
Mm-hmm.
We go out there. One of the cool ones yesterday, we went out into like the forest, and they were just around the campfire. You could see like their tent and stuff. There were like a couple of guys patrolling, like keeping an eye out.
Yep.
And me and Andrew were just on this ridge, and we just scope out like the guards. We take them out, and it's just chaos. We're just shooting back
Yep.
and forth, hiding behind trees, and a bear comes running in.
God.
And it just mauls their entire camp.
Holy hell.
All those guys just shift their attention
Yeah.
to this freaking grizzly bear.
Whoa.
Yeah, and we're just like step back and we just watch it because we're on this ridge.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
They take the bear down and we just shoot the one guy who's
Yeah.
remaining.
Whoa.
Dude, it was just so cool seeing that interaction
Yeah.
happen.
That's amazing. Holy hell.
So the bounty died. You know,
Yeah.
he was like the first guy to go.
Did the bear get the reward?
No, no.
Yeah.
Because what you have to do is
lame.
like take the body, take it back to like jail or whatever.
Mm.
In this case,
No,
you
we
just
swear
toss
he's
it.
inside the bear.
Yeah, you gotta take the whole bear now.
In this case, you just like throw him in like behind the jail and
Yep.
then claim your bounty.
Just dump his body behind the jail.
Yeah. It's like just put it in this area.
Yeah.
And
There's a
yeah, you do
bin
that.
over there. It's just.
So it's
Bounty bin.
it's cool. Like so that's the main structure of like bounties.
Yeah.
And then they introduce like legendary bounties.
Oh, yep.
So there's it's cool. Like you select it from a list of it before you go into it. There's like a loading screen, and it's
Mhm.
got like a backstory of like why he's wanted,
Oh, cool.
or he or she.
Yep.
And this guy, he just murdered people in the city, and then retreated to like the swamps,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just gone crazy. And so you load into it, and you appear by his place in the swamp, and he's like by a cauldron, and he's like, "Oh look, I'll go peacefully."
Yeah.
And then he goes to grab something, throws it in the cauldron, and we just like fall to the ground.
Oh my God. Did he like
Yeah,
gas everyone?
yeah,
or
he just
something?
he just
Yeah.
gassed us. And so we wake up, and you're just looking out, and your horse is like tiny. It's like as big as like your foot. You're
Oh
in this
my
like
God.
daze,
Yeah.
and it's just like that same like drunken effect
Yep.
amplified.
Oh God.
You're looking out, and like there's this huge owl with like glowing eyes.
Oh
All the
my God.
birds and chickens are massive.
Yep.
And so you're in this like hallucination, and you don't know what's going on. Your horse runs away and then explodes. Like it just
Wow.
blows up into like a cloud of dust. And so me and Andrew are just like, what the hell is going on? And we're on like different sides, so I can't even see him.
Yeah.
So the guy that you're after, he just like a puff of smoke happens, and then he comes running at you with like a machete.
Oh God.
It just spawns like
Yeah.
randomly anywhere. And the way you take this guy down is like you just have to keep shooting him.
Mm-hmm.
When you shoot him, he like puffs away into smoke again and then respawns randomly. And so you just have to like sober up. And you progress towards this house that's
Mhm.
like right in the middle. So you went that way, and then you start like gaining your bearings.
Mm-hmm.
Walk into this house, and it's like you have to find this guy. And so Andrew went up, these stairs, and then I see this guy come out of an outhouse with a machete, and I'm
Oh
like,
my
dude,
God.
he's right behind you.
Whoa.
and it just happened to be like a henchman.
Yeah.
And so it took him out.
Ah.
Go into like his hut.
Who brings a machete into an outhouse? What are you doing in there?
Well, he was waiting for us, man. But it was like a henchman. Anyway, we go in, we see his like living quarters.
Okay.
Just start looting the place, as you do. And then it's like you have to search for this guy, and we're in the swamps. And it's just got these areas where you can look for people. As we get closer, there are gators and stuff around the place.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We start seeing other people just standing around and like henchmen, and they're all, I guess, working for this guy, and they've all got machetes too.
Wow.
And so we end up like taking these guys out, and then we see the guy. We end up like lassoing the guy, hog tying him, putting him on a horse, and geez, like gators are coming up.
Oh, God.
Like it looks creepy because it was at nighttime.
Yeah.
And like a guy was coming at me, I shot him, and then you just see like rustling and a red dot on like the map approaching you,
Oh,
and you're like,
God.
"What the hell, dude? I think they're crawling!" Like,
Whoa.
I was just freaking out, and yeah, it was just gators and things like this coming
Jesus.
at you. But yeah, fantastic, having a real great time, and it was really cool to see a take like that in a game like Red Dead, of that bounty structure.
God, it must be so good playing Red Dead after Cyberpunk.
Yeah, yeah,
What an awesome like contrast.
yeah.
Man.
I'm really taking it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm
Makes you
enjoying it.
appreciate Red Dead so much. Like
I just
more.
got my moonshine like processing plant started.
Oh wait,
Dude,
yeah.
it's an idle game.
There's
What do
a
you do
moonshine.
in this? What's this?
The moonshine?
Yeah.
I just found my like brewer.
Okay.
I don't know what the other elements are,
Yeah.
but I've got to get some ingredients.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what? Like he'll just start making
I don't
moonshine
know.
if you give
Whoa.
him the.
So does he start earning a passive income for you?
Maybe.
Oh, you found it, Nick.
But I don't know. Like I just paid my gold bars to this lady.
Yeah.
It opens up like all these quests and
Oh,
things
man.
to do.
Oh, so you're saying that it unlocks a bunch of mechanics.
Mm.
Interesting.
There are more people that you
What were you
meet.
saying about incremental games?
Dude, I think it's like a no-brainer. Like I
Yeah.
don't think this is a outlandish.
No,
prediction.
it's not. It's not at all. But I do think that what you'll end up seeing a lot more of, maybe not in Red Dead, but I think in future games you'll start seeing this thing where you will sacrifice that component, or or more likely you will contract out that component. Like it'll become someone else is running the thing, the moonshine thing. Someone else is now doing the bounties.
Yeah.
You now own a bounty office or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess the reason why I just don't like that kind of game is, man, it's so shallow. Like there's numbers. No, there's no in game. It's exactly what you see right at the start, but more.
No, a good. Well, okay, so maybe some, but good ones. The whole point of it is that there are new mechanics being unlocked, and the gameplay evolves.
Mm-hmm. With the brick breaker one.
Yeah, that's a very shallow one. But then compare it to the sort of infinite runner one. You start off just sort of running in a direction, collecting coins.
Mm-hmm.
By the time I'm up to, I've got like hirelings. I've got like the capacity to like shoot a bow and transport to different dimensions, and there's like a boost, and there's like a whole bunch of like chance
This
elements.
is a runner.
Yeah.
Can you check out the other dimensions?
Yeah.
What do they look like?
Different enemies. I collect different resources from the different enemies to build new upgrades, which is a whole other thing I had to unlock.
Mm.
A lot of these are also
Different like currencies kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's cool. Like man, and it keeps going forever. Higher numbers.
Yeah, and the oftentimes this is like a sole creator making this one, and a lot of these idle games are just like one dude or maybe two dudes just like making a thing, and they'll keep just adding new stuff to the tail end of it. So
I guess the Empire thing that I stumbled into was that plateau where you do reach a point in a game like this, and it was cool at the start. I guess The Sims is very much like this as well, where the struggle it's kind of cool.
Yeah, the struggle is the game. That's why I like survival games.
Yeah,
and then I stop playing them when I'm self-sufficient.
But man, Empire was just like, it reached a point where the currency that you wanted would they're basically asking you for your credit card
Yeah,
detail.
okay.
You know?
Yeah.
And so it reached that point where I was just like, oh, I see.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like I can't do anything right now.
It would take weeks or months to progress farther than that.
months,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Yep.
What was that? Was it a card game that you were playing? That
Solitaire.
no, there was something I remember.
the only one I remember.
There was a game
So
you were
good.
playing, Nick.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure it was like a card game. And you were getting to a point where,
Oh,
in order to progress, it's basically like it would take like years, or you
Clash
can just.
Royale?
yeah, it sounds
Was it
like
Clash
I think it
Royale?
might be Clash Royale.
Oh yeah, I think it was Clash
Yeah,
Royale.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
That yes, particularly for those games where there's rarity tiers
Mm.
and oftentimes upgrading is like cubing up cards.
Yeah.
So like to get like a red legendary tier thing to the highest thing is going to cost hundreds, if not thousands of dollars, or just months and months and months of time.
Yeah. Like
Yeah,
it
I hate that.
Like that curve up just
Yes.
became.
Yeah, it's all
like,
about quick progression
straight
at the start,
90 degrees.
and then it slows down, and then it becomes very slow to the point where it's, but the weird thing about that is the difference in power between someone spending huge amounts of money and someone spending a little bit amount of money is not actually that big. But it's still, if you are wanting to be at the top end,
Yeah.
you've got to spend that money, and it's so much
That's
money.
nuts. It like that game in particular felt like diminishing returns.
Yes.
Even on buying with real money.
Yes.
Like the money you were using as you got further and further was giving you less and less.
Yes. I don't think I spent any money on that game, but
Yeah, I know. I remember you were pretty proud of not spending any money.
Yeah. As soon as you can see that sort of thing, though, that's they're built to capitalize on whales, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like if you want to spend a little money, you'll get a good chunk of power, but to get all of the power, you have to spend like multitudes more, like factor of 10 or 100 or something, you know.
I'm gonna try the moonshine thing. Get my business card.
I want to
Yeah.
hear. I want to
and
hear.
I'll let you know what hooks it's got.
Yeah.
If it has any.
The dream for me would be you spend like all this time building out that moonshine business, and the point at which it becomes stale.
And I'm like, hey Nick, check it out. I've got like a gold bar tomorrow.
Yeah. But but the point at which it's like your moonshine business is sort of up and running and the struggle ends. It's like, someone wants to incorporate your moonshine business, and it's now about you're now your mission is to go and find other moonshine businesses and like either convince or threaten them into joining. And
you got the interest of Big Bourbon comes over and then like we need to buy you out.
I hate
like...
how games do this, man. Like
why?
They're because it's gross, man. it pushes like this very capitalist type mentality on
Okay, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. I'm just saying, like, what I would love to see is is where the point at which that gameplay becomes stale, it introduces a new layer and a new element, and the gameplay evolves.
I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I think it'll be you collect resources and then the progress bar can do this.
Yeah, and that's cool too.
Yeah, I mean, it might just
the
end
layers.
with-
I love layers. I want my games to be like.
But there might be other stuff in the game like that as well. Like you said, you didn't get this until you met a moonshine guy, right?
She was just hanging out.
There's a moonshine girl, Blake.
Moonshine girl.
Come on.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's
It's
1901.
1820. Like we should be past this now.
She's a badass, by the
Yeah.
way. She's got like a huge scar on her face.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
It's from moonshine exploding, probably.
Probably. Yeah, man. There are so many cool like things outside of maybe that one mechanic. Like I haven't even started it, but yeah, shit, it's a good game. Really did. Oh, and they've got a story as well.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think the thing that I think the thing with Nick's idle games is that they're almost like just raw mechanics.
But also like
and
not great either.
Yeah, but it's just like Nick loves the mechanics, and those games are like such raw mechanics. But when you put those raw mechanics into Red Dead or something,
it's not
like
raw mechanics. It's like not like Rocket League. It has mechanics. There's timing. There's things like this.
Yeah.
And there's a skill curve. It is inventory.
No.
No.
Again, you're both speaking from a place of complete inexperience and assumption. So I find it immensely frustrating that you're like, well, as an expert in
Let me
idle
tell you,
games.
Nick,
Let me-
about.
yeah. Okay.
Correct us.
Okay. There's a game I played called Armory and Machine,
Mhm.
which was a story-driven idle game.
What?
The whole point of it was to unlock new story elements, and it was told in this sort of vivid but esoteric kind of obscured way, sort of artsy fartsy storytelling. And it was about, in more concrete terms, it was about this simple machine becoming more and more complex and becoming sentient, and consuming resources, and the cost of that. And like the idle elements were a tool to describe this like sort of persistently growing, consuming machine that starts sending like soldiers out to consume more and more of these universal resources.
What's the game called again?
Armory and Machine.
Okay.
And I think they made a sequel. But that also had like combat elements where like you would go to a location and you had to defeat things, and so there was sort of like a rock paper scissors mechanic.
Sounds
where you'd
interesting.
be spending resources to buy weapons, and some weapons were effective against certain enemies, but some were ineffective against others. And so and it was a timing element where use of your weapons would interrupt their attacks, but you'd had to time it right, and weapons had different use lengths. So like,
now is this common for a incremental game?
no, this is what I'm saying is like there's lots and lots of different kind of
You're
incremental
describing
game.
an exception.
I'm saying there's lots and lots of different kind of incremental game. It's like saying, is it common for games to have horses?
Yeah, it depends.
Right.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but man, the ones that you play mainly. These ones.
Moonshine Factory. Is that in all games with guns?
These ones don't have story, right? The ones that you were just talking about today.
Some of them have story. It's to varying degrees, right? They're games. They're all games, right? So there's some the creators will put different emphasis in different things.
I think showing us that Brick Breaker one might have been a mistake, because that's just like, man, that looks like 100% a screensaver.
Sure. Okay, here's one that is it's idle pinball, right? But you have to.
Oh, I have heard of idle pinball, maybe from you actually.
Yeah, I think I talked maybe after the podcast a couple weeks ago.
Do the paddles like go on their own? But you also have the ability to do it as well.
Yes, but you buy the ability for the paddles to go on their own, but they're shitty.
Oh,
but later you can buy a ability for the paddles to get better.
Wow,
but
that's actually amazing.
Yeah, right. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is like they're what I'm loving to see in these like incremental and idle games is these developers exploring ways to use other game mechanics in incremental ways and inject incremental elements and idle elements into classic game mechanics. And I think we're going to start seeing it into like very popular game mechanics, shooters and sim games and RPGs. And like you're going to see a big, these are all very small teams. I've never seen a big team make an idle game. What does that look like? I am so curious.
Black Desert, World of Warcraft.
No, those are like MMOs, right? Those are not about like the endless layers of prestiging and resetting and exponential growth.
Oh, you'd like these companies to lean into it?
Yeah, I want to see what does someone who's really like a classic game designer with the resources to make an amazing game. What if they are tasked with making an idle game or an incremental game that is still a good game to play? What does that look like? And we're starting to see a little bit of it, and I think that's sort of going to be the future. But I think we're going to see a lot of just these raw elements of cycles and exponentiality leak into other genres.
I mean, I like that I like that it's leaking into things.
Yeah,
like that's I was saying before, like the little bit that's in Mountain Blade.
Yeah,
and I want there to be more. Is good. And like going back to World of Warcraft, like with their followers, that seemed like the beginning, like the first test of something that would turn into something bigger, but it never did. They never, like people really liked the followers thing, and then after that expansion, they never did it again.
So you're playing.
I don't think so.
You're playing Pathfinder again.
Yeah.
The whole town.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yes. The whole town is an idle game.
In some ways, an idle game.
Yeah.
The thing is that the time passes only while you're in game.
I mean that's absolutely a point because you're assigning people to do tasks that take time.
Yeah.
The only thing is that so like there are tasks that take time, but the time passes while you're playing.
Yes.
But there are tasks that you assign someone and then the time just moves forward super fast, which I kind of don't like that. Like, and it's usually when it's one of your main followers, like you assign, the barbarian lady to do something,
Right.
and then it'll be like this will take 2 weeks, and you go okay, and then the time will just go 2 weeks later.
Yeah. So imagine if it was real time. And imagine that you couldn't just lose for not doing some of these things. But imagine if every time you returned to the game, you played every day, and every few hours or maybe there are some quests that take a few days even, and you log in and there's some progress. The town's a little bigger or more populated. You've got some new resources. New locations are popping up on the map because these things are happening.
Yeah.
That's I think where we're going.
Yeah. Like that town stuff in Pathfinder was one of those times where I was like, oh my God, this is going to be, a real deep kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was not that deep. It was
No.
just, you just send some people to do things and then you wait.
Now imagine if once you got to a certain point in that town, it was like, great, I'm gonna make this NPC the governor and start a new town somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, I think I mentioned this like maybe after the podcast yesterday that I would love a game like a Civ type game where you're hardcore managing one city.
Yep.
And then maybe you get another city and you're hardcore managing that. But at a certain point, you got too many cities, so you have to assign mayors and governors, and then region-wide governors, and and so it's like your view just keeps going up and up and up until you're like the ruler of an empire, and you're worrying about things on an empire level.
Exactly.
Where like AI is worrying about stuff.
Yeah.
And
then
day-to-day
aliens
management
come in,
and stuff.
and now you have to worry about the planet.
And then and then you're like, this is
now
what
you're
I want.
Space age society.
Yes, this is my perfect game. And then it just eventually
I rest my case.
Yeah. But the thing is, like,
so Vern, what do you think?
The thing is, there's actually.
I think Blake would be all over early access of this game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man! If there was an early access game.
But can you chop down a tree?
Well, you start off. Maybe that's the thing. You start off as one guy, and you start chopping down trees and stuff.
Yeah.
And you build a village.
Yeah.
Then you have access to like the wider map.
Oh boy, have I got the game for you?
I was playing.
I got the game for you.
What is it?
Tapcraft. Tapcraft on mobile.
Okay. Is this my homework? Tapcraft?
Yeah, why not? Why not? You do Tapcraft.
All right, I'll do Tapcraft. There was that game, I think, was it called Avorion, that I was playing with Ryan and Chris and them. And that, I talked about this. They were playing as one single ship flying around, shooting stuff, being a pirate, pew pew, whatever. And I was playing as, like, I started off doing that, and I'm like, this is tedious. I have to go to systems myself, like, I have to, like, mine all the rocks. I have to go to the trade thing. I have the potential to build other ships.
Yeah.
And you go to space stations and hire a captain to captain that ship, and then the AI can take over. But you tell the AI what you want it to do. So I was setting up trade runs with little ships. I was setting up like mining operations with little ships. I ended up, and I mentioned this to you.
You went
that,
wide,
like,
and they went tall.
Yeah. I went wide, and I had like multiple systems running with like my own space stations in them, and doing like trade runs and stuff like that going along.
Yeah.
And I towards the end, I spent most of the game on the galactic map view, just looking at the systems and like clicking on my ships as if it was like Stellaris.
Yep.
And they were like, I remember like telling them that, and they were like, they spent the whole time
in their ship,
perfecting their one ship.
Yeah.
Although they did, like, Ryan did build that giant cube ship and beat the game long before I was even like, I'd stopped progressing at that point and just started building an empire.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think we have time to talk about BlizzCon a little bit?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
A little bit. So D4 Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't know. What do you think, Sav?
I was just looking at art, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, same.
What do you think of those ears?
Rogue ears?
Sure, okay.
Well,
Which ears? Oh, those ears.
The ears that were featured heavily
this actually brings up something that I was wondering is that like because those ears featured heavily in that trailer, and that guy has a cabinet full of ears.
Yeah, it implies heavily PvP, doesn't it?
Yeah, and like the ears are always like a PvP thing. So I'm wondering like, is there going to be a PvP only currency? Like the ears you can cash into some dude who puts them in his weird ear box, but like you can get stuff off him.
Certainly an interesting angle.
Yeah, PvP only like currency. I don't know of any. There must be some other game that's done that. But, like you could get the ears.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you could get ears.
World of Warcraft.
Did they? What are they?
They had PvP only currency.
Oh,
They had
yeah.
and you buy PvP only gear.
Yeah, you're right. They absolutely did.
What I would like to see is a game where the PvP only currency is not tied to PvP, as in like you can use it to further PvE.
Yeah.
And whatnot. It could do a little bit of that if you were like the highest end PvPer.
Yeah.
In World of Warcraft, the highest end gear was good enough for raiding. But
well, I remember that in World of Warcraft there was a distinction. People looked down on PvP gear when you were trying to raid.
yeah, because half the stats didn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you're saying, especially because the world is meant to be kind of full of other players. It would imply that there's going to be some layer of interaction. Whether or not encouraging PvP in a game where most players play for like just grinding PvE elements.
Yeah.
Especially because it's often so heavily either small parties or solo play.
Yeah.
I'm curious how that will be received.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see, especially because PvP balance is a nightmare in an RPG.
Yeah.
I know from experience.
Oh yeah. I also remember in past Diablo games you had to accept PvP.
Oh yeah, you had to flag yourself into it, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember trying to bait people in Diablo 2 because I had a hacked character.
Oh my god.
And I was like, come out and fight me. And they were like, dude, you have like no health and like a million skeletons around you. Like something's fishy here. And I was like, nah, everything's fine.
I'm bad at build character.
Yeah. Like my health pool was 0, but because I was like invincible.
Oh dear.
Are you excited for the remaster?
Yeah, I'm gonna play it because like a few years back when D3 was announced, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna get back into Diablo 2 because I never finished that, and I loaded it up and my eyes hurt looking at it, and I never actually started playing it. So yeah, I'm interested in it. Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what they've changed in terms of usability, because that was a game wherein you had one button to use your skills, right? And you had a different you had a button to switch into skills for that button.
Yeah, man, I don't even remember.
It's just so clunky by today's standards.
I think they did like I watched the thing. I'm sure they did say they have they have added some quality of life features.
Yeah.
Like
auto gold.
Yeah. But I think they made that an option that you can tick it on and off kind of thing.
That's also a game where you kind of only need one or two skills, right?
Yeah.
You build into a character that uses one button.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is interesting. You look at D4, like even in the Rogue trailer, the Rogue was using a lot of different skills.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of skills available to the Rogue. That was actually the most impressive thing to me.
Yeah.
About that trailer was like the variety of skills the Rogue had access to.
Yeah.
How likely a player is to use a bunch of skills is unclear to me. But if D3 heavily emphasized sort of skill rotations and certain combinations, I would be surprised if it was any different from that.
What they were saying about the Rogue, I'm pretty sure they were saying that they want it to be like, you can switch between like melee and ranged like pretty fast, and you saw that in the trailer where they'll like shoot some arrows and then flick to like daggers and then dash in and stab some stuff. Like they want it to be pretty versatile like that. But I'm like, who knows? Like you may end up being like, I'm gonna specialize in one thing or the other. But I don't know.
What do you think of the art?
It's very impressive, given I think engine limitations that they may or may not have.
Right.
Mm.
They do tend to err on the side of lower end systems, right?
Yeah, I think so. The rendering definitely doesn't have like a GI thing
Right.
or anything that crazy. But
Mm.
yeah, I thought it looked really good.
There was a dungeon in there that I really liked the look of, just the color wise.
Mm.
What color was it?
It had these deep red abysses,
Mhm.
and then like kind of this like pale green kind of everywhere else, and just the contrast of that, I thought it looked great.
Mm.
Like I really like that, but I felt like I could see a difference between their dungeons and their open world.
Mhm.
Like there's parts in their open world where they're just running through, and it's like it's pretty bland like landscape.
Mm.
There's like not a lot to look at.
There was a moment I saw the rogue climbing a wall, and
Yeah,
I was like, "That looks aged to me." Like
Yeah.
the wall texture was just kind of like it was clear. It was
Yeah.
obviously signaling this
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
climbable wall, but it looked unnatural.
well, yeah, but I mean, you've played games where you can only climb certain walls.
Yeah.
They always have something that
Yeah,
is.
it needs
If you
to
think
signal,
about it,
right?
you're like,
Sure.
why does every climbable wall have a rope dangling down it? Or
So you
why
can
does
climb it.
why does every climbable wall have like white streaks running
yeah,
down
yeah.
it?
No,
Like,
I get it. It's but I for some reason compared to the last
yeah.
trailer, it looked worse.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to me, like
Interesting.
there was I think a larger emphasis on open world
Yeah, yeah.
areas. In
Like
this
the open world
trailer.
stuff, I'm really interested to see what they do with open world stuff. But I can clearly see when they're in a dungeon, it looks way more interesting. Just
Mm.
there's so much cool stuff around in a dungeon than some of the places in the open world.
Mm.
I feel like the open world will be some interesting spots, but then in between is maybe just like just scenery to run through.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ear physics. You got to see an ear get stretched and punctured.
Everybody's talking about that, man. That was like the highlight of that ear being like put on the hook.
Mm.
Yeah, gross.
So much love went into making like they nailed the sound, just how long it took to like push through there. Like oh man, someone spent
there was an artist
6 months
somewhere
with that.
puncturing a lot of ears.
Yeah,
Hired someone who used to work at a like piercing shop.
yeah. Do you guys see much else of BlizzCon, or was it just that?
Really just that for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
What about you? Oh, you did your tradition, right?
Yeah. So me and my friends, like every year, me and 2 friends, it used to be like 5 of us, but it's dwindled down as people have grown up and
Yeah.
lost interest.
Mm-hmm.
So there's 3 of us now that like get together every year and watch BlizzCon, and like this year it just felt like they were padding a lot of it. Like,
well, there was no audience, right?
well, yeah, there was no audience, but that was fine. But like, so like they'd had the big announcement thing where they showed all the stuff, and that's when they showed like the trailers and everything, and then they had they had when they did like the specific videos on like Diablo, for instance, or like World of Warcraft, they were like, okay, let's watch this trailer again. And it was like at the start of every one of these things, they watched the
trailer.
the whole trailer again. Maybe they did that because it's digital. You might
Yeah,
want to
because
watch
it's
them in
live.
bite-sized chunks later on, you know? So it might be like, I just want to watch the thing about World of Warcraft.
Right.
So you click on it and then it'll show the trailer if you haven't
Yep,
already
yep,
seen it.
yep.
But like watching it all in one go, it felt like, okay, we've seen this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've seen this before. Like it's just running, and they're like, 5-minute kind of things of like stuff that we'd already seen from the intro, and then they start talking about things more in depth.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was. I mean, it was understandable that it was like a lighter one, but like usually like it's a 2-day event. Usually we're watching right up till the end. On the second day, after like we watched I can't even remember what we watched on the second day, but like it was like 12 o'clock, and we were like, I think that's kind of it. I think we're done. Like we weren't interested in anything else that was on. Like
What was the highlight for you?
it was I'm really interested in the D2 remaster.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? I think, look, it's a beloved game,
Yeah.
but when that is the highlight
Mm-hmm.
of a game of a 2021 exhibit,
Yeah.
the remake of a 20-year-old game,
Yeah.
it's not even like, I don't know. It's a bit iffy, huh?
I don't know. I mean,
When you've got D4
yeah.
and D2 is the highlight.
Yeah, that's funny. That is funny. I don't know. I mean, I guess the thing is, like, D4, we already knew was a thing because they announced it last year.
You didn't know D2 was a thing?
So we didn't, like, I mean, I heard, well, that's the thing. You hear rumors, but, like,
I mean,
there
it's
were
been around
rumors
for 20
all
years.
There were rumors about, like, remakes of things and what they're going to announce for, like, months leading up to
Yeah.
it. And then they're
Yeah.
not always true.
That's true, yeah.
Like, I remember last year expecting, like, the rumor was there was a D2 remake and it was not announced.
Yeah.
I remember one year there was a rumor about a D1 remake, and I was, like, excited for that because, like,
Yeah.
holy hell, like, that'll be great. And then they showed it, and it was actually just an area in D3 that
Yeah.
they'd, like, kind of rejiggered to be, like, D1, and
Yeah.
it was like, what are you? That's so disappointing. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to
Hmm.
sound like I'm down on it or anything, but
you sound like you're down on it. It's okay to be down
Like-
on it.
like
Uh,
it was cool. And it was one of those things where it's like it's like a yearly gathering that we do, so it's like a bit of a tradition
Yeah.
thing. So there's that. It was mostly just hanging out with friends.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of it. And for a good chunk of the time, BlizzCon was just on in the background, and we were just chatting about stuff.
Mm.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
which we didn't really do.
Usually
before.
sat in silence.
Yeah.
Eyes glued to the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I do want to mention that this morning, as of recording, there was an announcement of an open world Pokemon action RPG.
What? I've not heard of this.
Yeah, I think it's called like Pokemon Legends Arceus.
Who's making it?
I actually don't know. I would assume the Pokemon Company, like Game Freak and whatnot. But I should look into that.
It's on Switch, right?
Well, let's watch the trailer after
Yeah,
this
okay.
podcast. You'll both be very disappointed.
Wow.
I would love an amazing open world Pokemon game.
Yep.
But I just think they're not up to the task.
I don't think they are wanting to make the type of Pokemon game that you and me want to play.
Yeah, I think I agree.
Because like I played that last one on Switch.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it because it
Yeah.
was like a child's game.
Yeah. Look, maybe this will be different. We'll watch the trailer.
Yeah.
But I think even just from the trailer, it just there were Pokemon just standing around, and when it comes to like open world
Yeah.
naturalistic animals, I look at Breath of the Wild where there's like deer munching on grass,
Yeah.
squirrels chasing nuts,
Yeah.
bears chasing animals. Like when it feels very interactive.
Isn't that just what they did in that Pokemon Sword and Shield? They just had the Pokemon standing around.
Yep, that's sort of my fear. Is it's
Yeah.
just going to be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
there's
just
Pokemon there.
that open world zone from those games.
But huge.
But
That's my
yeah,
worry.
The whole world.
I hope it's
Yeah.
not.
Because that was I was excited originally, and then I played it, and I was like, oh, this is not at
Yeah.
all what
Pokemon
I
needs to
thought would be
evolve,
good.
which is ironic.
Yeah, it does.
Anyway, we'll wrap it up.
But also, it's a game for children, so does it?
How much candy did you eat over the weekend, Blake?
How much what?
How much candy did you eat over the weekend? Who's the child here?
Well, I bought a kg of
Yeah,
gummy
okay.
snakes,
Okay, cool.
but it was
Just wanted
between
to-
3 people.
Oh, okay, that makes it fine then. You can email friendseekquestions@gmail.com and let Blake know he is a child. So Pokemon is in fact for him.
Yeah.
Tweet at FrontSeatCast. Just say, why, Blake, are you a child? Facebook.com/FrontSeatCast. You can send us a message. FrontSeatGame.wordpress.com is a WordPress site. YouTube.com/FrontSeatCast. You can subscribe to us on there. Are we at 1,000 subscribers? We were almost there.
No, we're still almost there.
You should subscribe. Get us to 1,000.
We're sitting on 930 the last time I looked.
Tell 70 of your closest friends.
Hmm.
All 70 of them.
Yep.
We're on Spotify and iTunes and all that good stuff. Rate us. Tell your friends.
Yep.
We love hearing
Like and
from you.
subscribe. Hit that bell.
Yeah.
That's
Smash
what they
the
say.
subscribe
Smash
button.
it. Smash it. Smash the subscribe button twice even.
No, that unsubscribes. Smash it once
Smash
or
it 3
times. We'll be back in a couple weeks. Bye. Your friend, just high five your friend.
We don't
There's got to be a reason, man. You can't just.
No,
like in a COVID society?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I licked
You
my
could've just
palm a
coughed
little
on
bit.
that.
It's not a big deal.
You just touched your driving wheel. That thing's
Oh, I had
probably
to, like-
Driving wheel. You've got your license, huh? You've got your full license.
yeah,
What'd you call it?
driving wheel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
It's in the code. It's in the road code.
And you've got your
And the other wheels are called the road wheel.
pilot seat.
It's captain's chair. Thank you very much.
Looking box is where you can see the road through the looking box.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
No, it's for the looking glass.
Anyway,
The rear looking glass.
so now I'm a professional driver. That's right. They're paying me.
Restricted,
They're not.
right?
They're not paying me. And yeah, restricted, very much restricted. Also, the instructor was very lenient.
Oh, cool.